you see the food robbery that happened over here?
Yes, yes. I could hear you, which means the stream could hear you, so they heard that beautifully casted. That was pretty hype.
Oh,
Um,
oh my gosh! I think I got a little too excited about that one.
yeah, that's a huge treasure, right? Because what it means for British is that they can even maybe elect to age a bill early. Though we do see Butifle aging right on time as Brits at 245.
Yep.
And meanwhile, duolckrad has yet to click up, though he does have his 800 food.
Yeah. You know, we're going to be... Callen's going to be offering some very interesting insight this game. He is the best British player on, you know, in the entire community. So...
yeah.
I just know that you love to play British.
Yeah, I maybe like to play them a little too much. I should expand my civ options. I was playing a game earlier against A's on stream, and reading the chat afterwards, Gibson basically said everything that I was going to do before I did it, and I just realized, wow, maybe I should play something else for once.
Well, you know, I have that problem as well. Not only am I not a good player, but I only play one civ, and that is the Dutch. They're just such a fun civ to me. I don't know why. They're so unique. They're kind of like India.
Yeah, I agree. They're a fun civ to play. We saw a little sort of cheeky duck. Very smartly, he sent this villager. He was going to build this TP, but he saw that Butifle was going for treasure, so he tried to go for the steal.
Yep.
And then can just build the TP anyway. So just a nice little smart play from Duck. And I like this.
Going to be laying, yeah.
I like it. I think
going to be laying down a train post as well.
Yeah, I think especially with this bill coming forward, he can identify that Spain is going to go ATP, and even if you can just take one of these trading posts away from him, it makes the whole line so much weaker, because now Duck has one less trading post and Butifle has one extra. So it's a swing of like 2 trading posts.
It looks like Butifle decided to age with what looks like 500 food.
Yeah, that's correct. Which is, I mean, the 2 age ups for Brits are both sort of viable. The 500 food or the tower and 200 coin. I think personally in this matchup, I would have liked to go for a tower and forward-based either near one of Duck's trading posts or on top of my own, and tried to take the TP line and Colonial.
Yeah, I wonder if it's going to be worth Duck getting that upgrade, since you know his opponent does have one of these trading posts.
Yeah, it's possible he doesn't. And actually, I wouldn't be surprised if he just forgoes Stagecoach, simply because he's not making any sort of military unit or military building that would signal he wants to play this in Age 2 and fight for the line. So I think he shipped ATP to buy himself some time, because now these trading posts are so much harder to kill, and also just for experience to fuel his Age 3 shipment spam.
It definitely looks like Butiful's going to be playing out in Age 2, slamming down 2 barracks in the front of his base.
Yeah, and I sort of like this, specifically because there's no military building out yet from Duck, so he can just really spam these musketeers, and I'd like to see him take down a couple of these trading posts or apply some pressure. I think maybe I would have liked to seen them either more forward, or I don't know, perhaps maybe only 1 racks at a time, but nonetheless I don't think this is this is all that bad. I think he can have some tempo with dual racks here.
Yeah, it's laying down a stable as well in the back of his base, so definitely looks like Butiful's going to try to play this out in Colonial.
Yep.
Duck did collect up to 700 gold though, and he's only about 100 food away from aging.
Yeah, it looks like he's going to have a pretty nice age time, pretty decently macroed. Although maybe he should have collected that food before gathering the wood, but nonetheless, he is going to be clicking up now at 6:30, and we see 10 musketeers on the floor for Butifle. So if he can actually pick off this Spanish explorer, that'd be huge, although Duck is smartly running it away, so he can just spam dogs in a future fight.
Yeah. And I mean, these 10 musketeers, yeah, they're scary, but I don't think they're enough to cause, you know, India to slow down their age time or their build order.
Right, and it's sort of, he's doing a sort of awkward push into the town, and that he'll definitely get some idle time, but he risks staying under the TC when the 4 Hussar are going to pop, and that with Minutemen can just clean up this 10 musketeer mass. But I like him poking into here and just sort of disrupting Spain a bit, but with that tower it's just not really economical, and I'd like to see him go back and siege, you know, this trading post with those 10 musketeers, and maybe use those 10 to siege the bottom trading post or so.
Oh, yep. And he did ship 700 coins, so I wonder if he's going to try to follow Duck right up to the Fortress Age, which would be good since he has all of this extra infrastructure as compared to Duck, who only has 1 barracks.
It's definitely possible, but I think we'll see him just stay age 2. At this point in the game, it's a little awkward for Brits to age up simply because they take so long. And meanwhile, we just came to see him just keep spamming 10 musketeers out. And I like his build order. The 700 wood, 600 wood, 700 gold is pretty standard for just spamming a lot of units. So I would like to see more hussars at this point. But nonetheless, I think he's going to be able to get a Rax here.
Yep. It's going to take some damage, though, on his musketeers, but, you know, it kind of stinks that Duck maybe made a little bit of a mistake here not building this barracks within range of his TC.
Yeah, it is a bit farther out there. Perhaps if it was closer to here, that'd be a little bit more defendable. But Butifle is getting pushed back now. Now he's coming in, and we see Duck aged at around 825. So I think a shipment takes around 40 seconds to get in, or something similar. So he really has to watch out.
In the meantime.
Yeah, because I expect either the actually. Spain can't ship skirms, so it would have to be two falconets I would expect to come out. And meanwhile,
I mean, the musketeers are just going to keep pouring in.
Right. And Duck preemptively made 5 dogs there. I liked what Butifle did there, and we do see 5 lancers come from Spain. But I like what Butifle did is he got the racks and he recognized that perhaps he was under pressure from a shipment and got out of there. And now I think he should maybe start sieging trading posts. We do see Stagecoach has actually been researched, so these trading posts become a lot more valuable now that Stagecoach is researched.
And with this many musketeers, I mean, he could just walk up and down the whole map, take out the whole line, and there's not a whole lot that the Spanish player could do about it.
Right. This is sort of a classic case of maybe being idle with your army. He could have easily sieged down at least one of these. I mean, this trading post is not even out of his way, hardly. And meanwhile, this is sort of the struggles of playing Brit on this map, is he's actually out of hunt and base. His next closest hunt will be in this corner. Wow. And then the next one.
Look how many builds he has on berries.
Yeah, exactly. I'm not a huge fan of the 5 bill shipment there. I think maybe military upgrade cards are better. But he still has a really nice mass, and that I think if he gets the right flank on Duck's army here, I think he can come out ahead.
Yeah. Duck he's being very hesitant. He really doesn't want to take a fight.
Yeah, and I think that's smart. Duck and I have actually played this matchup a lot. Of course, him as Spain and I as Brits. And it almost seems like Spain has to be careful not to push out too soon, or else their mass is just so much smaller than the British.
But this is going to be I think this is going to be the big fight here. Losing a lot of musketeers.
That was a great
volley.
volley.
A pretty big hussar mass.
Yeah, and he actually has a very defendable position with these cliffs, sort of taking away the possible flank and protecting these cannons. And Butifle smartly laying down a trading post of his own, such that the TP advantage is now neutral for either player. And
plus, the economic unit population is well in favor of Butifle as well.
Right. If we look at text completed, Butifle is all of his major market upgrades, whereas Duck doesn't have any, although both players are currently popped. So it's
interesting, though. We've talked about, you know, the British lack of feud, but he has such a big army as compared to the Spanish player. You know, I wonder if he can push out without really having to worry.
Yeah, I think it's go time for him right now. I mean, just look at this. It's 73 to 49. Falconets are great, but if you can't protect them from the larger mass, they become exponentially weaker.
Not against this many hussar. And the lancers are only good against infantry.
Yeah, actually, this would be and now we'll look at this. All those Rodoleros coming to the fight. If Butifle had already engaged, those Rodoleros would be worthless, and he would have just steamrolled this fight. But he
does send cavalry hit points, though, the British player.
Yeah,
which is just going to buff up his his army even more.
Right. I actually do really like his build order. I think the 5 vills are paying off. However, this is just going to be such a deciding fight, and it comes down to how well the cannons are positioned and how well Butifle can get the hussars.
I think Spanish has decided it's go time, but he's going to... I just don't know how he's going to deal with this many units.
Yeah, the hussar...
Rod's in there.
Yeah, but the hussar are getting on top of the falconets decently well. I would like to see Minutemen called from Butifle, but those falconets are still staying alive and doing so much damage to those musketeers. That's the key to it. If you can protect those falcons.
Yeah.
And it looks like duolckrad is doing the better microing and positioning in this fight.
Yeah, but Butifle just has so many units.
Yeah, and we see a really strong reinforcing 10 musketeer batch, but there's still a falconet alive there, and it continues to stay alive. And that's what swung this entire fight. And that was great positioning by Duck.
I cannot believe how much army the British player just lost.
Yeah, it was it was a staggering amount, to be sure. He's not necessarily out of the game yet. He does have a 53 to 35 vill eco, although that is slightly misleading because of the 2 trading posts that Duck has. But I don't know.
The scary shipments from the Spain player have come out, and now he's still kind of at an economic unit disparity.
Right, although he did upgrade his musketeers to veteran, which I do like, and it looks like the British player is just sort of losing his infrastructure. I mean, soon he's going to be out of hunts there, and Duck recognizes this. This is a classic Duck raid. Duck loves to raid, especially when fights are going on.
So much damage. I wonder if Butifle might not just, because I mean those they're trapped in that. Oh, is he not going to see them?
No. I think he's looking for this hunt and thinks it's maybe already run out. And meanwhile,
that would have been the raid of the century.
Yeah. And meanwhile, Butifle is getting a relatively decent engagement here. Although these musketeers being upgraded to veteran are going to be a huge help for the Spanish player.
Plus, these Rottleiros are just being so pesky.
Yeah, and here come the Lancers. This is just going to about clean up everything he has.
Yeah, there's not really much the British player can do after this.
No. And we even see, reinforcing siege units. And
wow.
That's GG. First game goes to Duck.
That was...
Yeah.
And it was a great build order by Butifle. It's just that first fight was...
Right. I think what this sort of boils down to is that the knowledge of timings that plays a factor in Age of Empires. I think if Butifle would have attacked 30 seconds earlier before those Rottleiros became a part of the fighting force of the Spanish player, I think he would have totally crushed the fight and gone on to win the game. But
yeah, I mean, if you look at the military unit count at about minutes, it just it's such a drastic decline.
Yeah, so
but
I mean, nonetheless, well played, Duck. I think he had really great positioning in that deciding fight.
Yeah, I really thought that Butifle he had this superior army. None of the units were upgraded, but once he got those upgraded musketeers and the villager raids, well, not the villager raids, but sieging the trading posts, Duck really took advantage.
Yeah, for sure. So let's see. I believe the second map is I can't think of its name. Herald Island. That's right.
Yep, the one based off a Yukon.
Okay. Alright, Duck chooses Brits. So, familiar theme in this series. And I don't think that's too unsurprising. I think Brits are probably one of the best civs on EP right now.
Yep. And they're just very versatile.
Yeah, definitely.
And Butifle's going to lock in his Russia, so a very quick civ pick there.
Yep, that was a pretty quick response.
And I do want to point out to the stream that we have gone roughly, 10-15 minutes without a technical issue, which is a record. So hype in the stream for no technical issues.
Yeah, let's pat ourselves on the back, I guess, for that. I'm glad I could get everything set up in time for the exciting parts of that match.
Mm-hmm.
And it was really quite a good game. I think some people were expecting duolckrad to be the heavy favorite, and there's no denying that he is the favorite, but Butifle is quite a decent player in my opinion. I know we've split a lot of games myself, and I play a lot with duolckrad, and we sort of split games as well. So I think this can be like a very competitive series for sure.
Yep. It's going to be interesting, especially on Herald Island, which I have come to adore this map. I think it's one of my favorites. I think it's just because I loved Yukon so much back in vanilla. But it's going to be interesting. There is a pretty short rush distance on this map, so we could see something pretty aggressive out of the Russian player.
There's a short distance for rushing, but there's also some easily wallable cliffs. It's a really interesting map. And then with that sort of north passage between the two towns, you can see all sorts of crazy shenanigans coming at you from all sorts of different angles.
Mm-hmm. Yep. But, you know, I don't know. When it comes to Britain versus Russia, it's going to be whether, because both can play a very strong colonial age, but Britain does have that strong fortress age, whereas Russia, you know, they can age, but they don't really get as much.
Right. And I mean, traditionally, these two civs have not always really been wanting to go to age 3. But yeah, it's difficult to decide who might have the edge in age 3. I think I'd probably give it to Brits, but both of these civs, one of the interesting similarities between them is that none of their units shadow upgrade when they age up, right? They have to manually upgrade their strelets, their longbows, their musketeers, their hand cavalry. So I think both civs like to sort of play it out in age 2.
Yep, and it's frustrating, you know, because another reason why I love to play Dutch is you get the veteran Reuters, you get the veteran skirms.
Yeah.
And I mean, you just save so many resources not having to invest in those upgrades. Whereas, you know, like you said with Britain, it's a very different story.
Right, for sure. But Game 2 does start in this best of 3 round of 128 match in the ESOC Spring Tournament. In the north of the map, in the color green, as always, we see duolckrad playing British. And in the south west of the map, in yellow, is Butifle, unfortunately back hurting his starting hunt. So both of his starting hunts. So that's definitely not ideal, especially for a civ like Russia, which really tries to age up without as much idle time as it can.
Yeah. It's a 200 wood start. Looks like, from duolckrad. Very, very predictable double manner.
Right.
It seems to be the favorable thing to do with a 200 wood start for British. Unless you're Azanc, which then you go for a trading post and do all sorts of mischief.
A's is an enigma as far as I'm concerned for a lot of his build orders. But as Brits with the 300 wood, there are like 3 different viable play styles you can do off of it. You can do the manor and or 2 manors, or you can do the manor and market and early hunting dogs, or you can early TP and chop 35 wood for a manor as well. So I like the 2 manor play a lot, especially because Duck did not start with a small coin treasure in his base, so it makes sort of going hunting dogs a little more awkward. And I'm not quite sure if the trading post would really help versus a Russian aggression so much.
Yeah, as far as treasures go, the Russian player did pick up 90 food, and the British player did pick up 80 XP.
Yeah, so, pretty standard. We do see a large treasure here, 150 food. I think if the Russian player can snag that, he'd be really happy, especially with this sort of.
Britain
Okay.
has scouted that though.
Okay. Yeah, I wouldn't be
I've seen it.
surprised if Duck is just waiting for his crack shot to recharge.
Mm-hmm. The Russian player is coming up though, and he's probably going to see this.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a make or break age 1 treasure.
It really is.
150 food.
Ideally, Russia would like to be getting it very soon. I mean, duolckrad is already aging. He had a very efficient age up in terms of his hunts. Yeah. And, I mean, he's aging like even a few seconds before you might expect Brits to age, so he must have had a really nice starting bill split. And we do see Russia going for this 150 wood or food. Duck realizes it and coming back. And Russian player isn't even going to be able to get this before he ages up, so he's going to have an uncomfortable amount of idle time here. And, I mean, really so far. Plus,
yeah, the Russian player getting chased off, and I'm waiting to see is the Brit. Yep.
Yeah, he's just going to crack shot. I think Butifle should have definitely stayed in there and just gone for the contention.
That's a huge. I mean, he lost a lot of Explorer HP on that as well, which now that he's aging is not as critical, but still worth being pointed out.
Yeah, and now I think Brits definitely have the advantage in age 1, though that's usually not too game deciding, and we'll see how each player elects to play it out in age 2.
Oh, here comes one forward Bill.
Yeah, this signals to me he's not going to be rushing too hard, as the blockhouse will take a while to build with 1 villager. And duolckrad is staying pretty defensive in his base, just sort of building these manors very defensively and trying to hurt in his far away hunt already, which I like.
Yeah, he's being very preemptive with all of his moves. Oh, we have a pause by Butifle.
Yep. So give the player just a second, real quick.
Yep. So what do you think as far as age 1? I would definitely say that Britain won that age 1 decisively.
Yeah, for sure. Especially with that sort of, I think Russia is aging quite a bit later than they want to. The question is, how much of an advantage does age 1 give to age 2? And in this match, I would actually say quite a bit, simply because Brits are going to age up an entire like 30 seconds before Russia, which means that Russia's normal play of 5 early muskets and 5 early Cossacks is not going to be near as threatening as it normally would. And so I think instead maybe Russia will have to adapt to a sort of more eco-focused contained game. I think he really has to starve the British player out, and then it's up to the British player to be able to push his forward base and break out before his hunts run out.
Yeah, and it looks like we're probably going to be seeing maybe something fortress-based from duolckrad. He is putting down the stable, is collecting the 500 food. Does have quite a few vills on coin. Yeah, do you think we could see a 5 Huss semi-FF, or maybe just going straight for Hussar and musket?
It's possible. I think it's much more likely just to see Musk Huss. This is a relatively standard opening in order to get as much cav out as possible to age with the food, simply because it's more sheer resources than the 200 gold and the tower. And then with those 5 cav, you can sort of fend off any early pressure along with Minutemen from the Russian player.
Yep, the 700 wood coming out, going to be able to lay down most likely a barracks, along with some other infrastructure, maybe some of those market upgrades. But the Russian player, in comparison, I don't know why. I have a feeling that the British player is just in a really good position right now.
Yeah, he definitely is. And I think one thing to note is this sort of blockhouse placement from the Russian player. I would have really liked it to seen it more controlling on the maps around here to protect that hunt, or maybe even on the left part of this map.
The other thing is that this blockhouse placement, yes, it's on the trading line, but it's not really next to a hunt. It's not next to a coin mine. So if that food starts running out, this blockhouse isn't giving any protection to vills coming out on the map.
Right.
Whereas if he had placed it, somewhere like here, he can protect 2 coin mines. This big hunt, he can steal this hunt from the British player.
Yeah, for sure. We do see 5 Cossack as the first shipment for the Russian player. And oh, a nice engagement. He should have stuck with that. With the TC fire and the snares, he could have gotten off a couple of swings before he had to pull back. And the British player...
Four more Hussar are coming down the map.
So it looks like Duck is sort of electing to try to just to keep a cav presence and try and raid the Russian player. And I think that's a very smart play, especially because it looks like Butifle is maybe wanting to do a trading post agenda. We see him laying down the one mid-map. Although he is smartly not losing any villagers to this large Hussar mass. But, I mean, I think realistically this is exactly how Brits want this map to play out. He knows he has the economic advantage.
He's also putting Butifle in a very awkward position by making him defend his base. He has to train military units at this blockhouse and then bring them back, whereas he probably wants to be in the British player's base.
Right, and these 5 musketeers don't even represent that much anti-cav on their own. And oh, he spots the 2 villagers. And,
and the foundation of that blockhouse as well.
Yeah. I don't think the blockhouse is going to come down at all. Although, if he can escape, bring those musketeers in. And the Cossacks. You just have to take this fight. Okay, 5 more.
Especially with the 5 additional musketeers.
Yeah. Okay, not as bad for Butifle as it could have been. He only loses 1 villager, and
he is delaying that blockhouse though significantly.
Yeah, and this is duolckrad is doing a nice job of splitting up his cav, and now he definitely has the Hussar advantage right here. That's going to be a very favorable fight for him. Meanwhile, these musketeers are so far away. And I would expect to see duolckrad pull back here before the Minutemen are popped. If Minutemen are on the way. There they are. And now he smartly pulls back. Although,
Yeah. And he's going to lose a few cav here, but I mean, look at the economic unit population. It's pretty in favor of the British player at this point.
There was perhaps an opportunity there for Butifle to get a trap on these Hussars. He needed to be a little bit more proactive with these 10 musketeers, although he's still going to get a very nice engagement here if he micros this correctly.
Yeah, he's going to get a lot of extra damage on these Hussars.
Yeah, this might be sort of his window to push, although as I say that, he's stacking 800 wood and a decent amount of resources. Meanwhile, the British players lay down his racks. He's starting to transition into Musk-Huss, and like you said, his eco's just rolling.
And I think a problem with Butifle is he's a little bit I don't know if he's confused about his infrastructure. He doesn't know, should I go for the trading post? Should I lay down another blockhouse in the middle? Should I build a stable in my base? And he's trying to do all 3 instead of just going for 1 build order. And meanwhile, the British being very meticulous about what he's doing.
Yeah, he's even securing this hunt, which is definitely something he needs to do at this point in the game. And we look at the second blockhouse placement. It's on top of this other one, which is generally what you'd like to see, but they're just non-important in this map. They aren't controlling any hunt or any mine.
Yeah, and I would have even loved to see if he, if he had placed a blockhouse here and maybe placed one up here before British started gathering here. British would be effectively starved out in 5 minutes.
Yeah, in general, you want to make the British player feel pressured to break your forward blockhouses, but these just aren't in any position to make duolckrad feel threatened at all. And we actually see, due to his better eco, he's got 52 to 30 military population right now, as well as being ahead in economy. So I think we'll see him do a nice timing push here with shipping 6 musks.
Not to mention the superiority of the British muskets over the Russian muskets.
That's correct, and we actually see a nice raid here. Pretty well identified by Butifle, but still those villagers are just
trying
a
to
little
build
out
a
of
wall
position.
here too, as well. And I think Butifle's just kind of on his back foot, not really knowing what he wants to do.
Yeah, and look at this. This is just such good play from Duck. He does a little raid, sidetracks the army, gets him out of position, and now he can take this engagement not under the 2 blockhouses. That's huge, actually. He should totally commit here, I think, but he is backing off. Perhaps.
And look at this.
Wow.
It looks like Butifle accidentally sent the 700 koi to his forward blockhouse instead of his base.
Yeah, that's just demoralizing, I think. And he's easily gonna lose one of these blockhouses, and now this coin is sort of up for Duck's taking. Um, Butifle doesn't really have the military mass to push this back.
Yeah, and if you lose 700 coin, that's almost game breaking.
Yeah, it really is. We see an attempt at a raid here to try and bring himself back in the game. But I mean, there's still just so much more reinforcement coming from duolckrad, and the raid was smartly noticed by Duck. So
yeah, I mean, the economic unit population is 45 to 28 at this point. I mean, that's insane. But you know, there is some raiding going on by the Russian player, but I don't know. I just think the British player has a huge advantage. He's destroyed this forward base. He's even got villagers gathering this coin, which is, I mean, I can't think of anything worse than losing 700 coin and giving it to your opponent at the same time.
yeah, it's essentially a 1,400 coin swing if you think about it.
Yeah.
Pretty brutal. And meanwhile, these raiding Cossacks are getting sort of caught out of position. Although not too poorly, but yeah, still the British player definitely with the advantage here. And we see he ships Musk attack, which is just going to sort of make.
Gonna try to build a wall here. This villager's gonna die.
Gonna get shut down.
Oh, maybe not.
Well, oh yeah.
There it is.
Yeah, and I mean now Duck is actually just kind of free to push into this. There's no even blockhouse for the Russian player to produce units, so.
Has already called the Minutemen as well.
Yeah.
This is.
There's
not much that the Russian can do at this point.
I mean, we really see the strength of Hussars against Russia. I mean, the Russian Musketeers just do not do enough of a job of dealing with them. The snaring potential plus the DPS from the carded Musks is just like actually insane. And it looks like he's going to call GG.
Yeah. Well, it looks like it'll go to Duck 2-0.
Yep. Duck showing some pretty impressive play here. And I know Butifle told me before the series started he was a little nervous, and I can feel for him because I get nervous when I am in these situations too. And that's probably why I don't even play tournaments. And yeah, he's just sort of expressing some frustration at how nerves can negatively affect you. And it's a little unfortunate.
And I think that's the mark of a good player. You know, I'm seeing in the chat that he's pointing out, yeah, I shouldn't have sent that goal to the forward blockhouse. I had a bad timing. And, you know, it's the good players that can identify what they're doing wrong rather than just saying, oh, you know, I guess that guy was just better than I am. And I think that's that kind of analysis is what you need to do to improve in this very complicated game.
Yeah. And I think Duck showed his experience here. I mean, Duck's pretty practiced in tournaments. Of course, he won the Second Chance tournament last year, which was a lot of games. And I'm not quite sure how much Butifle has played in tournaments. So GG's to both players. This was a pretty exciting series to watch, especially Game 1 I thought was quite close.
Yep, it was very interesting.
But yeah, that's going to be it for us, fellas.
Yep. But thank you guys all for watching. Everybody who tuned into the stream and was very patient with us.